Welcome to Moonlit, your quiet haven for sleepy history and those soft, boring stories from the trailblazed past. Here, we murmur the whispers of yesterday like a cradle song, letting the simple rhythms of frontier days carry you into a peaceful slumber. Today, we wander slow into the moonlit meadow dreams of pioneer frontier life. A time when families crossed wide prairies in covered wagons, seeking new lands under endless skies. Imagine yourself there in the hush of 1846, along the Oregon Trail or a fresh-claimed homestead in the Kansas Territory, where nights cool deep and mornings unfold like a flower in the dew. No hurry, no clamor, just the soft call of a meadowlark and the creak of cabin timbers settling in the breeze. If these tender words ease you toward rest, please like this video to share a bit of that calm. Subscribe to Moonlit for more dreamy dives into history's quiet corners. And in the comments, tell us one frontier whisper you'd like to hear next. Perhaps the sway of a wagon on the trail or the hush of a prairie sunset. Thank you for being here. Now, settle in, let your breath slow, and join our first soft wander, a gentle awakening in the pioneer homes of the 1840s frontier. In the dim hush before dawn, you stir in a log cabin tucked against a creek bank, the walls chinked with clay and moss to keep out the prairie wind that sighs like a distant lullaby. It's 1846, and your family has claimed this quarter section under the Homestead Act's promise, though the ink's still wet on the claim papers filed at the land office 40 miles east. The cabin is small. One room, maybe 14 by 16 feet, logs notched saddle style at the corners, roof of shakes split from oak by father's axe, overlapping like cedar shingles but rougher, letting through the scent of rain if a storm passes soft. No glass in the windows yet. Those costly panes come by flatboat down the Missouri, saved for the townfolk. Instead, oiled paper stretched taut over the rough-sawn frames, glowing faint with the first light, greased with bear fat from last fall's hunt to keep it supple and clear. You lie on a rope bed, sturdy frame of hickory lashed with rawhide thongs that sag a touch under the weight. Mattress of ticking stuffed with corn shucks rustling soft as you shift, or feathers plucked from wild geese if the river gave plenty. The quilt over you is heavy, pieced from woolens and linens salvaged from the Yade. Wagons load squares, a faded blue from mother's old shawl, red checks from father's shirt, stitched tight with thread spun on the wheel back east. Each stitch a story, sown by firelight on the trail, when the oxen load restless under stars thick as spilled milk. The air chills your nose, breath fogging white, for prairie nights dip cold even in spring. The door's deerskin flap pulled tight but gaps, whispering drafts like secrets shared. The first sound pulls you awake. Not a clock's tick, for those brass wonders cost a month's wages and run on keys wound daily. But the soft low of the milk cow in the corral out back, a patient Jersey named Daisy, her bell tinkling faint as she paws the straw. Then the rooster's crow, muffled through the wall chinks, from the coop of woven willow branches, daubed mud. You sit up slow, feet touching the puncheon floor. Split logs hewn flat with adze, edges rounded smooth from bare soles and moccasins. The floor gaps a hair, letting up the earth's cool breath, swept daily with a turkey wing broom to keep the dust down. In the corner, the trundle bed holds your little sister, 5 maybe, curls tangled under a lighter coverlet, thumb in mouth as she dreams of berry picking by the slough. Mother's already moving, her shadow long in the hearth's embers, where she banks the fire from last night with a log of cottonwood. dry and light burning, sparks popping lazy like fireflies reluctant. The hearth is stone. River, rocks, mortared clay, wide enough for a pot hook swung low over the flames. She strikes a flint and steel together. Sparks shower bright, tinder of char cloth catching quick, blown to life with a puff gentle. The flame licks up, warming the room bit by bit, smoke curling up the chimney of sticks and mud, daubed thick to fend the wind. Breakfast simmers soon. Corn dodgers frying in a skillet of iron heavy, greased with lard rendered from the hog slaughtered come winter, yellow batter sizzling soft, flipped with a long fork whittled from ash. Coffee perks in a tin pot, grounds coarse from beans traded at the sutler's store, aroma rich and dark, stretching 1 sack a month. You dress in the half-glow, layers for the chill. Long johns of flannel soft from the loom, shirt linsey-woolsey woven tight at home. Homespun on the big wheel, dyed butternut brown from the bark, boiled slow. Trousers or skirts of Osnaburg, coarse but sturdy. Apron tied over for the work ahead. Pockets deep for nails or twine scraps. Shoes or moccasins, maybe. Deer hide, soft-soled with raw hide. Or boots laced high if the cobbler in town fixed them last trading post run. Down the ladder, no stairs yet. Too fancy for this claim. The main room opens. Dirt floor in places packed hard and swept, covered with skins of buffalo tanned soft or rags braided round for warmth underfoot. Father stirs by the door flap, buckling on his galluses, beard trimmed knife straight, eyes scanning the meadow through, the oiled pane for signs of trouble, maybe a coyote sniffing. The hen yard, or Sioux riders far on the horizon, signals smoke puff if peace holds. Breakfast gathers the family round a puncheon table, legs augured into the slab top, stools of three-legged pine milked low. Plates are tin, bought cheap from the wagon train outfitter back in Independence. Spoons of pewter dented from trail knocks. You eat slow. Dodgers broken hot with milk fresh from Daisy, warmed in the spider pan over coals, or bacon if the smokehouse yielded strips, salt cured and lean. Talk murmurs low. The fence line needs mending where the wind bowed it, or the claim jumpers talk at the fort, but voice steady, no fret in the dawn. Dishes rinse in a basin of creek water hauled last eve, willow twig for scrub. Dried on a line strung wall to wall, flapping like small flags in the draft. Mother pumps the well if dug deep. Handle long iron, primed with a bucket splash. Gush cold and mineral sharp, tasting of the earth below. No indoor pipes. That's dream stuff for the city's east, where lead lines snake under streets like veins. Water carries to the wash bench outside. A slab under the lean-to. Tub of oak staves for the Monday boil. Lye soap grated from ash and fat. Clothes pounded clean on the board wash. But not all homes are log like this. On the open prairie where trees hide shy, sod houses rise from the earth itself. Walls cut in bricks 2 feet square from the virgin sod, stacked tight and thatched with slough grass bundled thick. The roof sods sprout wildflowers come spring, bees humming lazy over clover heads, but rain drips through if storm heavy. Pots set to catch the plink. Inside, the air smells of loam rich and damp. Floor of packed earth swept with broomcorn. Hearth dug shallow in the wall to save the sods from fire's bite. Your bed there might be a shelf bunk against the wall. Corn shuck tick slung on ropes. Quilt the same patchwork shield. Awakening comes same, to the lark's trill filtering through the sod roof's thatch. Light seeping gold through the door's canvas flap. Mother lights the bull's-eye lantern. Glass lens-focused beam on the tinderbox. Flame kindled quick for the morning's dark corners. Breakfast same simple. Johnny cake baked in the reflector oven. Tin box angled to the coals. Or hasty pudding stirred cornmeal thick. Sweetened sorghum from the cane patch if planted south. Chores call soft as the sun rims the horizon, painting the meadow in peach and rose. You tend the stock first. Bucket swinging to the corral of woven hazel stakes. Daisy waiting patient. Udder warm as you milk her rhythmic squeeze. Foam rising high in the pail. The calf butts gentle for its share. Nose wet and soft. Chickens cluck in the coop. Nests checked for eggs speckled brown. Basket filling slow with a half dozen if the fox stayed away. Father hitches the oxen to the breaking plow. Great beasts yoked with bows curved wood. Horns polished from the harness rub. Their breath steaming white as they lean into the share's bite. The meadow stretches wide. Grass knee-high waving silver in the breeze. Bison gone, but antelope grazing far. Tails flicking flies. No fences yet. Open range law holds. Brands on hides tell the tale come round up. You help with the garden if girls work, or the field if boys. Hoe flashing in the light. Weeds pulled root deep from the beans and squash rows. Seeds from the packet traded back east. Planted moon phase right for the almanacs say. In the Oregon country, homes differ wetter. Rainforest thick with fir and cedar. Cabins of shakes split clean. Mossy roofs sloping steep. Water from the rain barrel under the eave, soft and peaty. No well dig to the rock, but mornings hush same. Mist cloaking the trail like a shawl. Elk calling bugle low from the ridge. As the sun climbs lazy, the home settles to its midday calm. Lunch by the creek maybe. Cornbread wrapped cloth and cheese from the hoop. Eaten on a log felled fresh. Water sipped from the gourd hollowed smooth. Nap for the little ones under the wagon sheet stretched shade. Dreams of the river ford crossed last moon. Afternoons weave chores finer. Mother cards the wool from the sheep's spring clip. Spindle whirring slow as she walks the floor. Yarn twisting fine for the knit. You churn the butter in the dasher churn. Cream sloshing rhythmic. Clabber separating to the pat. Salted light from the rock mine traded. Father splits rails for the snake fence. Axe biting hickory crisp. Chips flying gold to the grass. Stacked zigzag to hold the herd. Evenings near as shadows stretch long. Supper simmering. Rabbit stew from the snare-set dawn. Onions wild from the meadow. Dumplings dropped soft to thicken. Table set puncheon simple, Grace whispered. For this land's gift, amen. Stories after of the trail's dust devils dancing tall, or the fort's fiddler scraping Arkansas traveler lively. Bed comes with stars pricking the papered pane, like eyes watching kind. You climb the ladder slow, trundle pulled out for siblings, quilt tucked chin high. The cabin sighing settle as the fire banks low, embers red as a fox's tail. But let's drift a touch longer on that awakening, for its small graces soothe deep. The quilts wait again, batting of wool carded fluffy, batted even between the top and lining. Quilted fan pattern with thimble pushed steady. The rope beds sag, retied yearly with new hide soaked soft, stretched taut as a drum. The cow's low, daisy switching tail, bell brass dented from the trail's jostle. Milking stool three-legged low, balanced knee to flank warm. Squirt after squirt foaming the pail's side. The hearth's build. Stones fitted dry at first, then mudded tight. Andirons of iron-forged fortside, holding the backlog steady. Mother's bonnet, poke wide of straw plaited fine, ribbon tied under chin, shielding eyes blue from the glare. The garden's rows, marked stick straight, cornhills with squash trailing vine, beans climbing pole teepeed high, water hall, yoke on shoulders padded cloth, buckets sloshing even, path worn to the creek's bend where willows trail, lunches cheese, pressed wheel-aged cave cool under the bank, rind waxed yellow, cut wedge knife thin, churns dasher wooden turned lathe slow, lid punched hole for the staff, butter pats shaped paddle dipped cold, supper's rabbit skinned quick, fur pegged stretch for mittens winter, stew pot three-legged hung hook chain, stories trail told, the Platts shallow ford, wagons circling night for the guard's watch. So the pioneer day circles gentle, from dawn's hush to starlit rest. We've awakened in these homes now, felt the earth's soft hold. More meadows wait, trail sways, claim works, fort whispers. For tonight, let the lark's call lull you deep. Rest well in Mind Lepic's dream. As our moonlit meadow dreams continue to unfold, we leave the cabins, soft morning hush, and step gently into the vast embrace of the prairie, where the land asks for hands steady and hearts patient, in a dance as old as the buffalo's tread. In this second whisper from Mind Lepic, we sway with the quiet rhythm of frontier chores, those endless, unhurried tasks that carved homes from the wild in 1847, say, along the Platte River's bend or in the tall grass reaches of Iowa Territory. Picture the sun warming the sod slow, oxen leaning into yokes with breaths deep and even, and the wind carrying the faint hum of a spinning wheel like a lullaby from afar. No rush of machines or clamor of crowds, just the earth's own pulse, measured in steps across the meadow and the turn of seasons soft. Let these simple labors wrap you like prairie grass in the breeze, easing you deeper into the dream. We've awakened in the homes. Now follow the chore's gentle call with me. Out on the claim, after breakfast's warmth lingers in the tin cups set to dry, the day opens wide like the sky above, blue and boundless, dotted only by a hawk wheeling lazy on thermals rising warm. Father shoulders the yoke for the well, if not dug deep yet. Hey, shoulder yoke of ash bent steam, padded cloth against neck, buckets swinging empty from the hooks iron forged. The walk to the creek is a half-mile meadow path, grass whispering ankle-high, wild iris blooming purple by the water's edge, dragonflies skimming the surface like thoughts fleeting. He dips the pails slow, water clear and cold from the spring fed, gurgling over mossy stones, hauled back even to slosh just a touch, splashing drops that beat on the grass like dew late. No pumps hand-cranked yet. Those tin wonders come by keelboat from St. Louis, pricey as a rifle good. The water pours into the trough by the cabin, for drinking strained through a cloth to catch the silt fine, or for the mash tub where mother soaks the corn for hominy, kernels swelling soft overnight. You follow to the corral, a circle of stakes driven mallet deep into the sod, laced with rawhide thongs twisted tight from last year's hunt. The oxen wait there, big Durham bulls maybe, horns pulled short for the yoke, hides dappled red and white, munching hay from the stack winter cut along the river bottom. Their names are Buck and Bright, called soft with a whistle low, as you scatter oats from the sack burlap tied, golden grains glinting in the sun. Feeding's a ritual calm. Measure the handful even, no waste on the open range where grass cures slow in the mow of the lean-to, forked up ladder pegged to the rafters low. The milk cow Daisy joins, her calf weaned now but still budding playful. tied short to the post snag to learn the lead. You brush their flanks with a curry of hickory twigs bundled, dust clouds rising faint like mist morning, tails switching content as the flies lift. Back to the garden plot, staked square with ash poles notched, fenced rabbit-tight with willow withes woven close, the soil's black loam, turned fresh with the spade iron-tipped, heavy but rich from the buffalo chips burned last fall for ash. You hoe the rows slow, blade slicing weeds close to the corn shoots green and tender. Just knee-high now in June's promise, hills spaced fist-wide with beans, to climb the stalks come tassel. Squash vines trail fuzzy, pumpkins swelling green under leaves broad as platters, zucchini picked young for the supper pot. Mother plants slips of sweet potato from the vine rooted in sandbox, or sets slips of tobacco if southbound the claim, leaves broad for the pipe bowl carved later, seeds saved from last year's keep, traded at the fort for the newfangled tomato slip. Red globes ripening slow on the trellis of split rails leaned. Mid-morning, a pause at the spring house if built. A low dugout banked earth, roof of poles thatched grass, cool as a cave inside with shelves of puncheon slabs holding the milk pans shallow, cream rising thick overnight to skim for the churn. You ladle water clear for the drinking gourd. Sip, slow the taste peaty and sweet, or dip the rag for a neck wipe, cooling the sweat that beads already from the hose pull. Lunch comes early if work calls far, wrapped in a cloth, huckaback coarse. Johnny cake, hard-baked from the ash-hole oven, cheese from the hoop-aged smoky, jerked venison strips salt-crusted from the smoke pole hung, eaten under the lone cottonwood. Tree limbs arching shade dappled, roots drinking deep from the creek, its bark etched with initials from the trail scout who marked it safe ford. Afternoons shift to the breaking if it's sod virgin, the plow a sulky walker maybe, seat wood slatted for the ride, share steel gleaming dull from the smithy's file. Father drives the team. Lines of hemp braided home from the fiber-retted riverside, clucking G soft for the turn right, the furrow curling black like a ribbon unspooled, clods crumbling under the harrow's drag of thorn branches tied. You walk beside if young, dropping seed wheat broadcast even, handful flung arc wide to catch the wind's lift, covered light with the roller stone dragged mule slow. The prairie grass roots deep, tough as wire, resisting the blade's bite, but the soil yields rich below, promising 40 bushel if rain blesses even. Women weave their chores finer, the loom set under the eave for the light slant, frame of oak-hewn square, heddles of reed split fine for the warp stretched taut from beam to beam. Mother dresses the loom with wool carded fluffy from the fleece washed creek cold, dyed madder red from the root boiled or indigo blue traded, pawnee for the sky's own hue, the shuttle flies wooden smooth, polished palm from the throw, weft picking pattern plain, for the linsey petticoat or twill for father's trousers, loom humming rhythmic like a bee in the clover. You help with the quill wound, bobbin filled tight, or the fulling tub later. Cloth stamped foot treadle to felt the weave close. In the Oregon fever lands, chores wetter run, rain pattering roof shakes split cedar. The garden in the bottomland rich with fern and salal berry, but mud sucks the boot deep. Felling's the call, axe ringing for tall, bucksaw two-handled for the undercut. Tree groaning slow to the fall, limbed branch by branch for the cabin raise. Oxen skid the log meadow long, chain-wrapped butt end, skid poles greased soap root slick. South in Texas claims, chores heat the blood, mesquite thorns snagging the fence wireless. Cattle longhorn wild from the drive Chisholm's trail, branded iron-heated hearth-hot, smoke rising fur singe. Chores there herd the beeves loose, lasso looped rawhide from the horn curve. Or the sorghum mill mule-walked circle, cane crushed roller wood to the juice-boiled sweet for the table's pour. As sun dips peach across the meadow, chores circle supperward. The hearth fed fresh with chips, gathered boy small. Fire crackling low for the bake kettle swung. Supper's hasty pudding if corn low. Stirred wooden spoon, long in the pot, three-legged. Or buffalo hump if hunt lucky. Roasted, spit turned slow over coals banked. Table grace again. Thanks for the yield day's end. But linger on those fields a breath, for their rhythms cradle deep. The plows share again. Whetstone slicked with spit. Edge honed keen to slice the sod without drag. Oxen yoked bow-locked tight. Goad stick poked light for the jehaw. The garden's hoe. Hickory handle worn thumb groove deep. Blade Arkansas rock-tempered file. Weeds wilted pile for the mulch heap turned. The loom's heddle, reed split knife careful. Warp tensioned weight-hung stone in the shed below. Shuttle willow whittled light. The spring house cool. Milk pan skimmed ladle shallow. Cream jarred for the city butter if traded. Lunches jerky, sinew chewed tender from the smoke. Saltpeter rubbed for the keep long. Breakings furrow straight as the surveyor's chain. Sod bricks stacked wall high for the house rise be quick with neighbors' hands. Women's fulling. Feet stomp tub rhythmic. Lie from the ash hopper leached rain soft. Cloth beaten clean on the paddle flat. Oregon's saw, crosscut filed tooth keen. Pit dug for the underman. Log cradle notched for the kerf straight. Texas brand, iron pea for the claim. Heated tongs long to the fire's heart. Hide, seared, sizzle, faint. So chores turn the day steady, land giving back in the yield green. We've toiled these meadows now, felt the earth's calm yield. More whispers wait. Trail sways, fort gatherings, evening yarns. For this dream, let the wind's hush lull you under. Sleep soft in our frontier fold. As our moonlit meadow dreams sway onward, we ease from the prairie's quiet chores into the soft gathering of frontier, forts and settlements, those humble clusters where paths crossed like roots under soil, sharing whispers of trade and tale under the same wide sky. In this third tender chapter from Mind Lepic, we drift through the stockade gates of Fort Laramie in 1848, or the sod-roofed hamlets sprouting along the California road, where life hummed low like a bee in the blue stem, full of faces from east and beyond, bound by the land's unyielding call. Imagine the creak of wagon axles on the trace, the faint ring of a blacksmith's hammer, and the murmur of voices in tongues mingled, all weaving a tapestry of community calm amid the wild's edge. These places were beacons faint, crossroads of hope and hardship, where days moved with the river's bend and the moon's rise. Let these settlement sighs settle over you like dusk on the palisade, guiding deeper into the dream's fold. We've toiled the fields. Now wander the fort's gentle hum with me. The trace to the fort starts at midday's ease, after chores yield to the need for powder or plowshare mended. The wagon hitched light with springs of rawhide for the bounce soft. Father checks the linchpins. Wooden pegs, whittled square to hold the wheel true. Greased axle with tallow spooned from the horn cup. The mule or ox patient in the traces, ears flicking the fly's buzz. You climb the tailgate, seat of quilt folded thick against the slats rough. Basket holding eggs for trade or deerskin soft tanned for the sutler's ledger. The path is wheel rut deep, traced by 1,000 tongues before, grass parting green to the sides. Buffalo wallows round like saucers filled rain-pooled, frogs chorusing low if spring swells. Miles unroll slow, 5 maybe to the post, sun warming the back through the ducking cloth-stretched frame. Views of the Platte's lazy braid shimmering silver, sandhill cranes wheeling high with calls, trumpet faint. Pauses come at the slough crossing, logs felled cottonwood for the ford. Water lapping hub-deep cool on the mule's flanks, you balancing the bucket to scoop for the gourd sip. Dust rises fine if dry spells hold, coating the tongue like powder meal, or mud clings, wheel spoke sticky after thunder rolls. Neighbors nod from their claims past, calls soft. Fine day for the fort run, or heard the traders brought calico fresh. The fort appears like a mirage kind, stocked walls of cottonwood logs peeled bark smooth, notched, dovetailed tight, 20 feet high with portholes rifle slit for the watch's eye. Gates swing on hinges strap iron. Guard in blue coat wool nodding pass. Bayonet fixed gleam, but voice mild. What brings ye, friend? Inside, the parade ground dust-packed sweeps wide. Barracks low of adobe maybe west, or logs chinked lime in the Platte Valley. Roofs flat for the lookouts roam. The sutler's store squats central. Ductor leather-hinged open wide. Shelves rough of pine-shelved goods from the States. Flour sacked in barrels salt-lined for the weevil's stay. Coffee beans roasted dark in the keg. Molasses in hogsheads tapped slow for the poor sweet. You step the plank floor worn smooth from boot and moccasin. Air thick with the scent of tobacco leaf twisted plug and leather harness oiled fresh. The sutler tallies trade. Scales brass swinging even for the pelt's weight. Fox or beaver trapped stream set, or corn-shelled bright yellow at $1 bushel. Father haggles soft. 2 bits for the salt, or 3 for the all set. Coins silver half-dime, small as a bean, or pelts bartered even. Bolts of calico unrolled bright. Scarlet or indigo for mother's dress-up Sunday. Measured yard by yard with the stick notched. Needles eyed steel from Sheffield, shipped overland mule train. Thread spool cotton for the seam fine. Talk flows easy. The Sioux camped River Bend, traded robes for the powder horn. Or cholera took the Bents last spring, but the post holds steady. Nearby, the blacksmith's forge glows cherry under the shed open. Bellows leather-winged pumped foot to whoosh the air hot. Anvil ring with hammer fall on the shoe-horse nail driven. Sparks fly arc orange. Quenched trough hiss steam white. The smith arms thick as the yoke. Apron hide scarred black from the splatter. You watch the mule shod. Hoof pared, knife sharp. Nails clinched tight against the pull. Rasp filed smooth for the trot silent. Cost a bit 9 pence. Paid in labor maybe, if claim new. Shoeing the post's string in turn. Midday brings the corral view. Stock traded lively but low. Oxen big-boned from the drive Missouri up. Mares sorrel gentle for the plow. Calves bawling soft for the dam's milk. Auction called hornblast. Bids murmured. $10 the pair. Hands raised slow under hat brims low. Lunch from the wagon if long. Cornbread crumbled cheese sharp. Or at the tavern if coin spares. Tables plank long with stew, buffalo hump tender. Beans, pintos, simmered chili red. Coffee, tin mugged strong. Afternoons wander the quarters if kin military. Wives in sunbonnets wide chatting quilt pattern new. Log cabin for the block, or star for the Wyoming. Children play ring around rosy circle soft, or marbles glass swirled in the dust ring scratched stick. The chapel stands simple, crosswood whittled crude, Sunday hymns, amazing grace voices blending plain. No organ wheeze, but fiddles scraped after if the trader plays. In the sod settlements sprouting trailside, like Oregon City's edge or the Mormon stops Utah bound, hum differs earthier. Homes turf-walled clustered close for the raid's ward. Streets, mud lanes rutted deep. Swept broom of yucca stalk. The mill grinds if water powers. Wheel overshot, wooden turning slow on the race dug. Stones, burr-faced, grinding wheat to meal fine. Toll 1/8 sack for the keep. You bring the grain-sacked gunny, poured hopper high. Dust chaff, floating gold in the shaft sun. Women gather at the wash-flat by the creek. Tubs set ring on the stones flat. Soap lie hard grated fine. Clothes beaten paddle flat on the board wash. Rinsed twist ring cold. Talk bubbles low. The ferry crossed safe last ford. Or letters from the States. 2 months by Pony Express. The school, if gathered, one-room log with benches slab split. Teacher boarding claim to claim. Slates of slate real chipped for the sum scratched. ABCs recited round-robin soft. As light turns amber on the palisade, the run circles home. Wagon loaded light with the salt lick for the stock or the powder keg primed dry. Supper waits hearth hot. Pone corn baked ash deep. Venison haunch roasted spit slow if trade brought the cut. Stories spill wagon side. The trader's yarn of the Gila's gold flake, or the preacher's word at the stump meet. But let's hum along those walls a whisper more, for their echoes soothe the wild. The stockade gate again, hinge pintle sunk log deep, bar oak hewn square to drop the slot iron fitted. Sutler's ledger, quill goose-nibbed ink well filled, entries scratched deliberate. Flour 5 lb to J. Harlan, pelts Fox 2. Blacksmith's bellows, nozzle clay-nozzled for the blast even. Coal anthracite shoveled lump to the great red. Corral's auction, mule's ear twitch at the bid low. Rope halter knotted bowline sure. Tavern's stew, hump slow-braised pot iron, onions wild-foraged meadow deep. Thickened gumbo file sassafras dust. Quilt chat, needles bone-eyed thread pulled. Patterns traced paper scrap from the state's news. School's slate, chalk lump wet spit for the line white. Eraser corn cob rubbed clean. Mill's wheel, axle wooden keyed tight. Race stones lined to spill no drop. Wash's paddle, hickory flat planed smooth. Clothes thwack wet rhythm like the loom's beat. So the settlement day ebbs calm. Threads tied loose, but true. We've wandered these posts now, heard the hammer's faint ring. More dreams drift, trails sway. School whispers, evening fires. For this hush, let the gates creak lull you deep. Rest easy in our meadows weave. As our moonlit meadow dreams murmur further, we slip from the fort's soft echoes into the tender quiet of schoolrooms, those humble nooks carved from logs or sod, where young minds bloomed like prairie violets under the spell of slates and stories shared. In this fourth gentle chapter from Mind Leapic, we linger in the one-room schoolhouses of 1849 frontier America, along the Santa Fe Trace, or in the Willamette Valley's clearings, where learning came slow as a creek's meander, wrapped in the warmth of recitation and the hush of growing wild. Picture the bell's toll faint across the meadow, children filing in with lunch pails swinging like pendulums, and the scratch of chalk on board like whispers from the east. These schools were the seed of tomorrow, places of wonder plain, where days measured less by hours than by the sun's arc through chinked walls, and the turn of a McGuffey page. Let these lessons learn at ease over you like a reader held close, carrying deeper into the dream's calm current. We've gathered at the posts. Now, sit at a puncheon bench with me, and let the words unfold. In the prairie claims where families cluster claim close, school calls with the rooster's second crow, a walk of a mile or two down the trace grass grown, lunch pail of tin swung from hickory strap, books tied bundle with thong leather soft. The path winds past sloths lily-padded white, frogs plunking soft into the murk, or buffalo paths worn deep where bison grazed before the plow's bite. You arrive at 8 if the teacher boards the round. The building a log lean-to maybe, walls of cottonwood peeled axe smooth, chinked moss and clay pink from the creek bed, roof of shakes split adze hewn overlapping tight, door swings on wooden pegs thonged, hinges of rawhide if iron scarce, window slit narrow with shutter flap for the storm's ward. Inside, the room measures 12 by 20 feet. Benches of puncheon slabs pegged leg short for the grades mixed. No desks fancy, but hooks on the wall for the bonnet hang or the slate lean. Teacher steps in first, Miss Harlan perhaps, 18 summers fresh from the seminary back in Ohio. Hair-pinned calico cap, dress linsey modest to the boot, satchel of primers slung arm deep. She tolls the bell handmade, saucer of brass hammered flat with clapper tongue of deer antler. 3 pulls slow that carry meadow wide, calling the strays from the cowpath skip or the rabbit chase. Pupils file quiet. 30, maybe from 5 to 16 years. Coats of wool, great hung peg row. Mittens strung cord through sleeves to save the drop. Seats fill front for the primers tiny. Back for the cipherin lads with arithmetic books open wide. The air smells of earth, damp from the floor packed. Chalk dust fine from the board slab of walnut smoothed. Stove in the corner, a sheet iron box fed chips gathered morn. Damper turned, draw the draft even. Opening drifts soft. The pledge murmured hand on heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. Words new but earnest. Flag of bunting stitched star by star hung poleside. Then scripture from the Testament leather bound. Psalms read round. The Lord is my shepherd. Voices high and low blending like the wind in the blue stem. No primers fancy yet. Those blue-backed spellers come by wagon slow from the States. Pages dog-eared from the trail's jostle. Lessons unspool like a bolt of Osnaburg. One to the next in the shared hush. Primers trace the hornbook letters. Paddle of wood with paper glued under horn, thin, scraped. ABCs horned clear for the finger trace. Slates click as sums scratched wet chalk. 2 plus 3 makes 5. Eraser of corncob rubbed white the mistake. Spelling bees mid-morn. Words called deliberate. C-A-T. Cat. Hands up eager like meadow flowers to sun. Wrong sits cheek flushed, but forgotten quick in the next round. Arithmetic chanted table-like. 8 times 9 is 72. Rhythm hymn schooled from the Sabbath meet. Geography unfolds map hand-drawn. States outlined quill-fine on sheepskin stretched. Capitals named slow. Springfield, Illinois. Pointer of willow switch tapping border vague. Recess tolls at 10. Bell twice pulled mournful. Doors flung to the yard of grass, cropped short by sheep loose. Ring scratched for the tag chase or the hoop rolled stick. Propelled. Girls twirl rope of hemp braided. Rhyme soft. 1, 2, buckle my shoe. Hems brushing calf high in the skip. Boys toss quoit's iron ring at the stake driven, or wrestle grass down gentle. No pads, but scrapes, healed salve of grease wool. Lunch under the hackberry if shade offers, pales pride. Dodgers, corn hard with cheese. Rind yellow, apple wild crab tart from the fence row. Talk bubbles meadow low. Pa's plow broke a tooth. Or Ma's quilting the wedding quilt. Afternoon brings the cipher in for the older. Problems board scratched. If a wagon leaves at dawn. Heads bent over slates figured. Pencils lead-whittled knife pocket. History whispers of the founders. Washington, tall and true. Tales from the reader McGuffey. Pages worn thumb soft. Give me liberty or give me death. Stood recitin' eyes on teacher for the nod. Music if time spares. Pitch, pipe blown hum. Songs, Sweet Betsy from Pike. Voices clear, no melodeon yet. Those bellowed boxes for the church town. Drawing free with charcoal stick, hills shaded meadow curve or cabin square. No paints bright. Colors come berry juice squeezed for the tint. Discipline whispers firm. Switch birch, fetched for the whisper loud. Or corner stand dunce-coned paper tall, but rare. Eyes watch suffices in the room small. Older help the hall. Water from the seep near. Bucket willow bound sloshin' cold. Dippers gourd shared for the thirst. Girls dust the board with the wing turkey. Or sweep the floor with broom of broom corn bristle stiff. No janitor's mop. Chores wheel the week. Slates wiped rag damp at the close. In the Oregon settlements, schools grow greener. Frame of fir milled rough. Rain drumming roof shake steep. Desks of pine planed true in rows, graded faint. Lessons deeper. Penmanship with quill goose plucked. Ink gallnut brewed black. Cursive looped on foolscap, ruled faint. Blotter, sand shaken dry. The pen is mightier, lines filled even. Science sparks the jar of lightning bug caught dusk. Glowing soft the wing. Or the magnet lodestone pulled from the trader's pack. High schools sprout rare for the eldest. 4 terms after the common. Buildings claim raised with belfry low. Lawns of grass mown scythe swing. Latin bends the ear. Amo amas amet. Chalk clack board wide. Algebra plotted sand for the curve. Rule stick straight. Debates fortnightly, sides soft argued. Resolved. The railroad aids the pioneer. Points tallied pebble count. Girls learn hearth arts too. Samplers stitched cross red. Home and duty. Floss, pulled linen fine. Cookery in the yard fire. Aprons tied back. Ovens Dutch baked biscuit flaky. Boys woodcraft. Ads on bench split. Saw buck saw teeth filed keen for the dovetail. Terms stretch summer short for the hay tall. 3 months pulled to the harvest hand. Winter cut if snow drifts the trace. Sleighs runner shod instead. Exams year-end oral. Board the trustees. Dates recited. Words spelled. Change figured from the dollar silver. Eagles gold heavy. Halves folded neat. But oh, those fleeting moments that linger dream soft. The Yuletide program. Tree-fetched wood spruce. Scent pine heavy. Strings apple-dried draped. Gifts of reader new or slate clean. Recitals shy. 'Twas the night before Christmas. Lines whispered first to Pa trailside. Spelling contests claim wide. Mules to the green. Ribbons homespun for winners chest pinned. Trips field rare. To the mill wheel turn or the Fort Depot. Teacher file leading. Questions creak murmur. How spins the burr? Or to the lending box. Books leather spined from the mission press. Catalog cardwood slid drawer oak. Homework light. Pages murmured lamp oil. Slates practiced bed trundle. But minds stray to the morrow's play. No lantern's magic. Evenings fill with tales retold reader-like. Robinson Crusoe, past sibling, pages yellowed gentle. Through the all, school sows steady, bridge from child to the wide world's call. Teachers board family to family, suppers shared, yarns of their seminary days east. Pay scant, $10 month, but nod deep in the meat Sabbath. And in the Santa Fe plazas, schools mingle tongue, adobe thick-walled cool, classes 40 strong. Mexicans with Spanish lilt, and Americans drawled, English drilled firm, boards by script sometimes, maps of old Mexico pinned, lunch pails tortilla wrapped, frijoles bean thick, or tamale corn husked. So the school day fades bell final, books bundled, paths home meander slow. We've sat these benches now, heard the chalks sigh faint, more meadows call, wagon trails, healing herbs, holiday glows. For this dream, let the reader's page turn lull you under. Visions of slates clear and lessons soft. Rest deep in our frontier's fold. As our moonlit meadow dreams meander deeper, we leave the schoolroom's faint chalk sighs and drift into the gentle sway of wagon trails, those endless ribbons of dust and determination that carried dreams across the continent's quiet vastness. In this fifth soft chapter from Mind Lepic, we roll along the Oregon Trail in 1847, or the shadowed ruts of the California Road, where families bound west in canvas-topped schooners, the prairie whispering secrets to the wind as hooves plodded, steady under endless blue. Picture the creak of axles oiled with bear grease, the distant low of oxen like a lullaby low, and the flicker of campfire shadows dancing on tent walls at dusk. These trails were the veins of the frontier, pulsing slow with hope and hardship, where days blurred into the horizon's haze, and nights wrapped close in the circle's warmth. Let these journey whispers rock you like a prairie schooner in the breeze, easing further into the dream's tender trail. We've learned the lessons. Now, sway with the wagon's soft song alongside me. The trail beckons at spring's first thaw, when the Platte's ice cracks like a sigh long, families gathering at Independence's outfitter yards, wagons lined like ducks in a row, canvas bows arched white against the mud. Yours is a sturdy Murphy, box of oak sided tight with hoops of hickory bent steam, bed deep for the load. Flour sacked hundredweight in barrels salt kept, bacon sides smoked hickory wrapped, coffee kegged tight for the perk-morn, tools nestle careful, spade iron-tanged for the grave hasty or the ford dig, axe helve long for the snag clear, frying pan three-legged for the Dutch oven bake. Father checks the tires iron shrunk hot on the felly rim, spokes ash tight wedged, linchpins wooden pegged square to hold the wheels true. The team yokes up slow, oxen 4 maybe, big Missouri mules or longhorn steers traded river flat, names called soft, haw, bright, lines of hemp knotted bowline sure, whips of poplar switchlight for the nudge kind. You climb the tailgate step stool folded, seat of the driver's box springless but cushioned quilt thick, brother's lap for the young ones, bonnet poke wide shading eyes from the glare rising. The train forms loose, 20 wagons maybe under the captain's nod, elected fare at the meat grass circle, his horn conch-shelled for the start call. Wheels turn ruts deep from the trains before, dust plume trailing long like a ghost's breath. Grass nodding green to the sides where prairie dogs stand sentinel. Yip sharp but fading quick. Pace is ox set, 2 miles hour maybe. No whip crack, but cluck tongue and goad poke gentle. Halting noon for the graze loose on the short grass cured. Midday's heat shimmers the air. Mirage dancing distant like waterfalls. Pauses at the Sweetwater ford, where the creek runs clear over pebbles round. Oxen unhitched to drink muzzle deep. You splashing bare feet in the riffle cool. Skirts hitched or trousers rolled. Lunch from the tailgate drop. Cold pone corn crumbled with cheese hoop cut, or beans cold from the pot iron last eve. Eaten rag sitting on the grass bunch. Talk low of the guide's word. No buffalo close, but antelope rim the butte. The nooning stretches hour if fair. Nap for the babe in the cradle slung hammock way under the sheet shade. Dreams of the river crossed last. Afternoons roll the miles on. Ruts deepening wheel track. Sagebrush snagging the brake shoe wood. Dust caking lashes like flour fine. You walk beside if young. Gathering chips buffalo dried for the eve's fire. Twisted tight in the apron pocket deep. Or wild onion bulbs dug stick point for the stew's tang. Father mends the tire loose. Jack pine-levered under the axle. Hammer mallet soft to tap the wedge home. The train circles dusk for the guard's watch. Wagons tongue into the hub wheel. Canvas walls a fort soft against the wolf's howl far. Supper simmers, pot hung over the coals raked. Coffee perked blue-winged from the embers. Beans, pintos, simmered salt pork, or rabbits snared, dawn-skipped. Skinned, pegged for the mit later. Nights wrap the circle close. Tents of oiled cloth stretched pole-pegged. Floor of prairie sod, soft as feather bed. Quilts layered against the chill that drops star-sharp. Stories murmur low around the fire's bank. Father's voice gravel from the dust. The Rockies wait snow-capped, but the pass holds if prayer asks. Fiddle scraped maybe, bow horsehair rosined fresh. Tunes O Susanna slow for the homesick hush. Sleep comes wagon-guarded, turns 2 hour for the rifle lean. Moon silvering the canvas like frost lace. In the California fever trails, sway turns desert dry. Wagons lightened load at the Humboldt sink. Sage flat and endless. Water hauled mule back from the spring seep. Brackish, but life sweet. Dust devils whirl tall as the butte. Oxen tongues lolling foam. Pauses for the alkali flat crossed slow. Wheels crusting white from the salt crust. Nights cooler under the Sierra's shadow faint. Stars wheel close like eyes kind. Coyote, chorus, yip-yaw distant. South on the Gila path, trails thorn mesquite lined. Apaches watch ridge silent. Signals smoke puff if truce whispers. Wagons, Conestoga heavy. Bows arched high for the load tall. Teams mule sure-footed over the rock scree. Water from the cache barrel bunged tight. Rationed cup by cup at the noon halt. But let's sway a touch longer on that trail, for its rhythms rock the soul deep. The wagons creak again. Axle oak turned slow. Grease bare fat spooned cup by cup. Bow canvas, duck oiled line seed for the rain bead. The yoke's lock, bow curved steam to the neck fit. Oxen's breath steam white at the morn chill. Goad ash-pointed light for the hodgy turn. The ford's log, cottonwood felled adze bite. Oxen plunge belly deep, current tug, soft on the trace. Lunches pone, cornmeal mixed water thin. Baked ash hole hot, crust hard, but heart fluffy with the soda pinch. The circle's guard, rifle flintlock primed dry. Powder horn gourd slung. Watch horn owl hoo for the shift call. Supper's rabbit, snare willow-twisted set dawn trail. Gutted quick for the skewer green. Roasted, turned slow over the willow withe. Fiddler's bow, hair-twisted catgut tight. Strings sheepgut tuned ear-fine. Melody, drifting smoke curl up. Tense peg, mallet tap, stake oak sharpened. Guy line taut for the gust hold. So the trail day circles sway to rest earned. Miles notched stick tally for the journal keep. We've rolled these ruts now, felt the dust's soft kiss. More whispers wait. Hunt shadows, healing roots, holiday fires. For this dream, let the axle's song lull you under. Visions of horizons endless, and camps warm. Rest well in our meadow's trail. As our moonlit meadow dreams flicker onward, we ease from the trail's swaying dust into the tender embrace of evenings, those quiet veils when the sun dips low, and families draw near the fire's whisper, mending the day's threads with stories spun soft as spider silk. In this 6th gentle chapter from Mindly Epic, we settle by the campfire in 1848 frontier nights, along the Humboldt's Bend or in the Platte's grassy circles, where the stars wheel, close and the coyote's call blends with the crackle of willow withes. Picture the embers blooming red like prairie roses, quilts draped shoulder deep, and voices low as the river's murmur, sharing the weight of miles crossed and miles yet to dream. These evenings were the heart's hearth, times to rest the bone-weary and kindle the spirit's spark, away from the trail's pull and the dawn's demand. Let these fire-lit whispers warm you like a bed of ash soft, leading deeper into the night's calm cradle. We've swayed the wagons. Now, gather round the flames with me, and let the glow unfold. On the trail, as the last rut fades to grass high, the train circles slow with the captain's horn low. Wagons nosed tongue to tailgate in a ring loose but sure. Canvas bows casting shadows long like fingers stretched. Father unhitches the team with a cluck soft. Yokes unbowed from the neck, sweat damp. Oxen led loose to the picket line staked meadow firm. Nosebags of canvas-filled oats measured cup by cup for the nibble calm. You gather the chips if dry spells hold, buffalo dung twisted tight from the wallow round, or willow branches snipped knife-quick from the creek bank. Bundled armload under the arm for the drag light. The fire pit digs shallow with the heel boot. Ringed stones river flat to ward the sparks stray. Tinder of grass, dry-struck flint to steel shower bright. Kindling, twig crackled to the blaze even. Mother unpacks the tailgate slow. Skillet, three-legged set tripod over the coals raked. Lard, spooned grease the iron black for the pone fry. Batter, cornmeal, wet water, thin, and soda pinch for the rise light. Supper simmers gentle. Beans, pintos from the pot, hung hook chain. Soaked dawn in the seep clear. Salt pork diced sizzle soft to flavor deep. Or flapjacks flipped fork long on the griddle hot. Syrup sorghum poured tin slow if traded for it fresh. Coffee perked blue wing in the pot-dented trail knock. Grounds coarse settled eggshell drop to clear the mud. The family sits circle close on the log felled, or the quilt spread grass deep. Plates tin passed hand to hand. Spoons pewter clink faint against the rim. Grace murmured low, "For this fire's gift and the land's hold, amen." Talk unwinds with the smoke curl. Father's voice gravel dust from the day's call. The butte ahead rims the sink dry, but the cache holds water sweet. Mother mends the sock heel darned needlebone. Thread wool pulled even from the spindle whirl. Stories weaving in. Remember the ford where the mule slipped, but the rope held true. Laughter ripples quiet. No roar, but the chuckle warm like cider fall. The little ones lean head loll on the knee soft, eyes heavy from the walk mile long. Dreams starting of the berry patch promised Oregon green. In the claim's cabin stead, evenings draw inward sooner. The door flap deerskin tied snug against the dusk chill. Hearth-fed log by log of cottonwood light split. Axe bite crisp in the morn's chill. The room glows yellow from the bull's-eye lantern. Glass lens, focused beam on the Bible, leather cracked. Read aloud, Psalms slow. He leadeth me beside still waters. Words familiar as the creeks bend. Supper's echo lingers in the johnny cake ash-baked, or the squash stewed soft from the garden hill. Eaten table punchin' with the dipper gourd for the milk fresh. Father whittles the dipper new maybe, knife blade folding safe, shavings curling white to the floor like snow early. The parlor, if room spares, a corner squeezed with the rocker cane-seated creak slow, cushion of rush woven tight from the slough reeds, lamp-trimmed wick even. Font oil, clear, poured careful from the jug blue. Match sulphur-headed struck box side for the bloom steady. Seats fill gradual. Trundle pulled for the young. Rope bed sagged sweet from the day's hold. Quilts patched star for the Oregon dream. Stories start soft. Mother's voice lilt from the hills east. The wagon broke an axle once, but the smith mended with the oak green. Fiddle if owned. Bow, horsehair, rosined palm. Strings gut, sheep twisted, tuned ear pluck. Tunes, turkey in the straw, scraped lazy, for the foot tap faint. Holidays weave the eve richer. Thanksgiving circle wide with kin claim near. Wagons creaking in at the noon high. Table boards leafed long under the tree oak. Turkey wild snared dawn. Roasted spit turn over hickory smoke blue. Pies pumpkin from the vine gourd deep. Crust lard flaky rolled pinwood. Whipped cream churned pat paddle cold. Grace deeper, for the harvest's yield, and the trail's safe cross. Yarns spin long. The blizzard that blanked the train, or the Pawnee's gift arrow flint for the pipe clay. Christmas kindles the log Yule. Fetched wood's fur scented heavy. Set corner bucket sand fast. Strung popcorn, strung needle thread. Berries haw red, poked holly sharp. Gifts wrapped ragtide. Simple. Reader McGuffey, blue-backed for the school keep. Or mittens knit thumb warm from the ewe's fleece carded. Carols hummed low. Silent night. Voices blend off-key but true. No organ but the harmonica wheezed breath deep. Stockings hung hook mantle. Filled morn with the orange-traded California fare. Nuts, hickory, cracked shell. Candy stick peppermint if the trader brought. New Year's Eve hushes the claim. Punch of cider warmed clove stud. Bowl wooden ladled slow. Clock none but the stars tallied for the midnight chime. Resolutions whispered. Fence the north line strong, or plant the orchard apple root. Fire banked high for the watch. Embers guarded against the frostbite. Winter evenings deepen the glow. Snow tapping shake roof like fingers light. Fire-fed maple sweet scent. Stories turn tall. The grizzlies track paw print big as the plate tin. Summer brings the porch lean to sit. Glider rope sway creak. Lemonade gourd squeezed tart. Ice none but the spring house cool. Through it all, evenings mend the trail's tear. Socks darned. Hearts too with the touch hand or word kind. No lanterns electric. Faces fire-lit real. Shadows wall dance like kin long lost. Bed pulls 8-ish. Ladder climbed yawn slow. Prayers knee floor. keep us safe through the wild, covers tucked ear high. But linger by that fire a breath more, for its details cradle the night. The andiron stone river rounded, holding the backlog from the roll slow. Poker, willow sharpened hooked, stirred ember red to life faint. Popcorn hull-less popped kettle over flame, kernels leap white. Butter none but the grease-laird spooned. In the trail tent, the oiled cloth flap tied thong, floor grass tuft soft, candle tallow dipped stubbed safe. Cabins loom evening set, shuttle thrown last for the morrow's weave. Yarn ball wool soft rolled palm, holiday's turkey. Giblets, stock-simmered gravy silk, neck picked clean for the broth morn. Cranberry strung bead red for the tree hang. Berries bog-picked, dried, oven low. Pie crust crimped fork tine even. Filling spiced nutmeg warm. Lattice top vented steam. Wreath door hung pine twined. Bow ribbon calico saved. Sap sticky finger trail. Tree candles snuffed bell brass lift. Wax drip pooled branch silent. Stocking heel apple bump round. 2 nut rattle soft. Punch lemon peel twist oil bright. Cloves chewed after sip linger. So evenings fold the day fire gentle. Bonds knotted like the trace true. We've warmed these circles now, felt the flame's steady sigh. More dreams lie, hunts hush, heels root, holidays weave. For this glow, let the embers pop lull you under. Visions of quilts shared and yarns spun. Sleep soft in our meadow's night. As our moonlit meadow dreams pulse onward, we stir from the campfire's fading embers into the quiet pursuit of the hunt and forage, those patient rhythms where the land gave back its gifts slow and sure, with the crack of a twig or the rustle of berry bush like a secret shared. In this 7th soft chapter from Mind Lepic, we track the trails of 1849 frontier America, from the Platte's buffalo grounds to the Oregon's salmon runs, where hands and eyes moved in harmony with the wild's whisper, gathering meat and meal with the reverence of a prayer low. Picture the deer's ear twitch at dawn's hush, the snares quiet set in the meadow grass, and the basket filling slow with roots dug earth deep, all sustaining the claim's circle with unhurried grace. These hunts were the frontier's heartbeat, steady and still, where survival wove with wonder in the web of need. Let these forage whispers draw you like a snare's gentle pull, easing deeper into the dream's wild hold. We've warmed by the fires. Now, tread the hunt's soft path with me. The hunt stirs before the full light claims the meadow. When the mist clings grass like a veil thin, father, slipping from the cabin flap, deerskin tied, rifle flintlock slung shoulder deep, powder horn gourd slung at the belt wide. It's 1849, and the claim's larder runs low on the venison jerked from last moon's doe. So the call goes out soft to the trace for the neighbors join if kin close. You follow if old enough. Moccasins deer-hide, soft-soled rawhide. No boot creak to spook the ear sharp. The rifle's a Hawken maybe. Barrel half-stock walnut carved plain. Sights buckhorn notched for the aim. True. Ramrod hickory tipped worm for the ball-patch wrapped lid. Powder measured hornspoon even. Primed pan dry for the spark quick. No percussion cap yet. Those copper hats come later by trader mule. The meadow stretches silent. Blue stem waving knee-high silver in the breeze faint. Dew beating the moccasin cuff like jewels small. Father signals hand low. The track, deer print cloven, fresh in the mud, slough edge. Hoof splayed wide for the doe heavy. You creep willow crouch. breath held shallow as the rivers flow, eyes scanning the draw where the cottonwood clumps shade the bed. The doe lifts, head graceful, ears cup forward, nose twitching the air for the man scent carried. The shot cracks sharp but muffled powder muzzle, ball mushrooming the shoulder clean, doe folding soft to the grass without the bound wild, knife blade folding drawn quick, throat slit mercy fast to bleed the heart warm, hide pegged stretch for the tan later, with brains smeared even. Back to the claim drags the pack quarter, haunch slung yoke shoulder padded cloth, trail left faint for the wolf's follow, but circle guarded eve. Mother skins the hide careful, flesher scraped bone tool dull to save the grain fine, stretched frame willow hooped for the dry sun, meat cuts thin for the jerk, strips salted heavy from the mine licked. Hung smoke pole over hickory coals smolder slow. Cure 3 days for the trails keep long. Heart saved, roast fresh for the supper brave. Liver fried skillet hot with onion wild foraged meadow deep. Forage calls the women and young at midday's ease. Basket of willow woven tight from the slough switch. Going to the fort light if load calls. The prairie yields hidden. Prairie turnip, dug stick point in the hill dry. Root white and nutty peeled knife small for the boil soft. Or lamb's quarter greens pulled tender leaf for the pot wilt with fatback sizzle. Berries haw red from the thorn hedge. Picked thumb prick tolerant for the pie crust laid. Or chokecherry clusters stripped stem nail for the patty dried sun flat. Pounded cornmeal mix for the pemmican sweet. In the Oregon wet, salmon leaped the riffle fall. Net of willow mesh dipped team pull, fish silver flashing hauled bank wet. Gutted quick for the smoke rack high, cure salt rubbed if traded. You learn the signs slow. The buffalo chip fresh green side up for the fire quick. Or the cattail root winter dug for the flour mash. Pounded stone mortar to the meal fine sifted. Traps set eve for the coney pelt soft. Snare of horsehair twisted fine in the burrow rim. Bait apple core from the lunch keep. Morning check yields the fur limp. Skinned peg for the cap winter. Or traded fort for the bolt cloth. In the Santa Fe dry, hunts shift thorn mesquite. Antelope arrow fletched from the bow, osage orange strong. Hide scraped for the moccasin sole. Forage cactus pad, nopal stripped spine careful. Boiled tender for the tamale fill. Or mesquite pod ground quernstone for the bread flat. Afternoons weave the yield to the keep. Meat pot simmered with wild carrot pulled root deep. Stew thickened acorn mush if oaks fringe the creek. Dumplings dropped spoon hollow for the float light. Pemmican pounded pestle wood in the skin cone. Fat buffalo rendered poured hot to seal the nut meat mix. Sack bound for the winter's lean. But let's track that path a touch longer, for its pulses soothe the wild deep. The rifles load again. Ball round lead molded sprue cut clean. Patch linen oiled for the patch box snug. Powder measure 40 grains for the charge full. The does fall. Knife gut hook drawn belly long. Entrails steaming earth buried for the foxwort. Hides tan. Brain slurry smeared palm even. Staked flesh side up for the sun's pull slow. Jerkies hang. Pole hickory bent fork straight. Strips threaded thong for the smoke curl even. Forages turnip. Bulb fist round tugged soil loose, peeled whittle thin for the string dry. Berries haw, cluster stem snipped basket fill. Juice stain finger purple for the jam boil. Salmon's net, mesh knotted nettle fiber fine. Dip timed riffle swell for the hall silver. Snares hair, horsetail twisted thumb spin. Set burrow lip with the bait twig propped. Pemmican's seal, fat, clarified, kettle slow, poured wax-like over the pound fine. So the hunt day ebbs to the larder full, land's gift taken with the handlight. We've tracked these yields now, felt the wild's calm give. More dreams wait, heels hush, trails deeper sway, holidays spark. For this pulse, let the shot's echo fade, lull you under, visions of haunches slung and baskets brimmed. Rest steady in our meadow's hunt. As our moonlit meadow dreams hush onward, we turn from the hunt's steady yield into the soft sanctuary of healing, those whispered arts where hands tended, wounds and herbs brewed calm like a potion, from the earth's own heart. In this 8th tender chapter from Mind Lepic, we linger in the sick tents and cabin corners of 1850 frontier America, along the overland trace or in the valley claims, where remedies rose from root and river, mending the trail's toll with the patience of a poultice warm. Picture the simmer of willow bark tea on the campfire coals, the cool compress on a fevered brow under canvas shade, and the midwife's steady touch in the hush of birth's miracle. These healings were the frontier's quiet balm, times when family held breath close and nature lent its leaf and lore, turning ache to ease without fanfare or haste. Let these remedy whispers soothe you like a liniment rubbed slow, drawing deeper into the dream's healing hold. We've gathered the gifts. Now rest in the hush of care with me. In the wagon circle after a ford's chill bite, healing stirs at the first grown low. A twisted ankle swollen purple from the rock snag, or the cough hacked dust deep. From the day's plume long, mother turns to the medicine bundle. Pouch of doeskin tied thong secure from the tailgate hook, herbs gathered trailside. Yarrow leaves dried crisp for the bleed staunch. Root of echinacea dug prairie deep for the fever's break. She crushes the bark willow stripped from the copse green. Inner layer scraped knife fine. Steeped pot tin over the coals raked. Water seep clear simmered slow to the tea bitter but salicin soft. Like the aspirin unborn, you sip it from the tin cup dented. Steam rising curl to ease the throat raw. Wrapped shawl wool from the ewe traded Pawnee for the warmth hold. Cuts from the thorn snag or the axe slip, clean with the rum traded sutler strong. Poured rag cotton to sting the wash, or carbolic none yet. That's Lister's dream far east. Cloth linen from the bolt saved binds tight. Poultice of mullein leaf bruised wet for the draw pus. Spread broad on the oakum pad. Tied crosswise with the strip calico. Father sets the splint if bone grinds wrong. Willow shoots straight and green for the length even. Padded moss from the slough damp. Lashed thong rawhide twist. Rest called wagon side. Bunk slung hammock low under the sheet taut. Quilts layered featherlight to wick the sweat night. Birth's hush deepest on the trail. Midwife wagon bound if the train carries one. Her kit of oils bare rendered and scissors sheared fine. She arrives circle quick. Hands basin washed creek cold. Sage burned smudge wand to clear the air heavy. Labor stretches moon long. Lantern bullseye beamed low on the tent flap tied. Water warmed kettle copper for the compress back hot. Babe slips whirled slick. Cry mule soft as the cat's first. Wrapped flannel square skin close to the breast hold. Cord snipped mercy clean. Tied fiber plant for the knot sure. Afterbirth river buried for the spirit's ward. No doc's forceps. Those steel jaws for the town birthing east. Fevers yield to the onion poultice. Bulb sliced thin and salted draw. Laid chest wide under the shirt flannel to sweat the ill out slow. Vinegar, rag, dipped apple turn for the brow cool. Forehead circled gentle with the fold even. Liniment brewed, camphor traded mixed turpentine sharp from the pine pitch boiled. Rubbed joint ache with palm firm but kind, scent lingering wood deep like the fir stand, in the claim cabin stead. Healing shelves the pantry niche, jars clay-glazed labeled quill faint, golden seal for the gut flux, root yellow scraped fine for the tea steep. The flux cholera fear takes quick if water fouled, calomel dosed blue vial from the doc's kit if fort close, but mother brews slippery elm bark shredded for the soothe gut, mucilage slick as the salve, tooth throb worst, clove bud chewed numbing the gum raw, or the pull plier fingered if abscess swells hot. No ether sweet. That's Morton's mask for the surgery hall. Eyes strained trail dust get the borax. Wash none yet. Eye wash goldenrod steeped weak. Cup willow bark splashed gentle to the blink clear. Glasses wire thin if peddler brought. Lenses ground far for the blur mend. Frames pinched nose pad soft. Small town posts hold the dock's shingle swung. E. Harlan, M.D., buggy mule clip to the stoop dust. Bag black leather clicked table oak, stethoscope ear trumpet wood hollow pressed chest wheeze. Pills vial small, quinine bark for the egg shake. Dosed powder white careful. Cinchonas chill from the trader Peru. Tenements none but the sod cluster breeds the croup bark seal. Quarantined tent flagged yellow. Steam-tented kettle for the breathies. Charity healers wander. Herb woman, claim to claim with the basket willow. Roots ginseng dug fall deep for the tonic brew. Sold bit 9 pence for the bottle corked. Patent none wide. That's later elixir green for the blood build. But lore holds penny royal for the moon's ache. Mint wild steeped hot for the cramp curl. Surgery whispers grave. Table puncheon, cleared cloth white. Ether, none but the whiskey, swigged deep for the cut limb gangrene green. Saw crosscut filed keen for the bone bite, but claims heal home most. Rest the cure slow with the broth. Chicken simmered hen old. Carrots wild pulled for the sweet. Plagues shadow soft. Smallpox pox pitted if unvaxed. Variolator lancet scratch with the cowpox scab. Armbound rag to scar round. Influenza waits, but early flus cough the lung raw. Whorehound candy lozenge sucked for the tickle soothe. Mental men's quieter. Prairie fevers stare distant. Rest ordered, dock gentle. Bed rope sagged long, and walks meadow slow. Asylums far for the break deep, but kin holds the sorrow with the tea chamomile calm from the garden slip. Children dosed wary, castor bean none but the oil layered, like spoon black for the worm crawl. Chaste molasses drip sweet, whooping cough hushed catnip tea. Leaf dried rack hung, simmered mild for the rattle ease. Aging twinges with the rheumatism. Flannel wrapped joint night. Oil snake none but the skunk grease rendered fat for the rub circle. Scent strong but ache fled. Through it all, healing binds the circle kin. Prayers murmured fire kneel. Mend us, Lord, through the wild's gift. Hands held pulse steady. No sulfa magic. That's Ehrlich's dye far. Nature yields. Plantain leaf chewed for the sting bee. Sap milky drawn to the blister suck. But let's hush in these balms a breath more, for their scents carry the heel deep. The willow tea again. Bark, twig, bent, stripped careful. Inner cambium scraped thumbnail fine. Boiled kettle copper hour low for the yield clear. Poultice mullein. Leaf velvet bruised mortar stone. Salt draw sprinkled coarse for the heat hold. Birth's sage smudge. Bundle tied, reed tight. Feather fanned smoke curl to the tent close. Onion slice. Layers peeled paper thin. Salted cellar crystal for the chest lay. Clove bud. flowerhead pink crushed toothpress, oil essence numbed gum deep. Golden root, rhizome forked dug spade narrow, scraped paring for the flux brew. Eyewash goldenrod, bloom yellow steeped weak, cup gourd hollow splashed lid shut. Quinine vial, bark chip ground pestle porcelain, dosed tongue bitter with the honey chaser. Calomel blue, pill marble rolled careful, flux purge feared but fever fled. Catnip leaf, rack willow strung air dry, tea mug muddled for the whoop hush. Skunk fat, pelt scraped render kettle, strained cloth cheese for the twinge rub. So healing flows hush steady, ills met root, and prayer sure. We've tended these cares now, felt the bomb's soft draw. More dreams wait, holidays weave, winters white, springs stir. For this hush, let the tea's steam lull you under. Visions of poultices warm and fevers fled. Rest near in our meadows mend. As our moonlit meadow dreams weave onward, we slip from healing's gentle hush into the soft craft of making. Those patient hands that turned raw yield into the tools of tomorrow, shaping the wild into a home's quiet hold. In this 9th tender chapter from Mind Lepic, we linger in the cabin workshops and trailside bends of 1851 frontier, America, from the loom's steady hum to the adz's ring on fresh-hewn oak, where crafts bloomed slow like thistle in the meadow, binding family with the thread of need and the whittle of wonder. Picture the spindle's whirl spinning wool to yarn fine, the quill's dip in inkwell for the letter home, and the quilt frame stretched taut under lamplight yellow. All simple arts that mended the plain days with unhurried grace. These makes were the frontier's quiet song, times when fingers found rhythm in the reed, and the reed found purpose in the weave. Let these craft whispers draw you like a shuttle's gentle flight, easing one breath from the dream's full fold. We've mended the aches, now shape the makes with me, hand over steady hand. In the cabin's corner, where the light slants eve-long through the oiled paper pane, crafting starts with the wool's card, mother sitting stool low with the cards leather-backed, wire teeth fine as the hedgehog quill, the fleece from the ewe's spring clip, washed creek-rubbed with the soap-root lather mild, lies in locks curled white as the cloud drift. She teases the locks, gentle between the cards curved, pulling even to the bat fluffy. No tangle left for the spin smooth. You help with the wash if young. Kettle copper swung hook over the coals banked. Water seep hot with the lye ash leached rain soft. Fleece stirred paddlewood to the clean float. The air scents lanolin sweet like the lamb's first. Rinsed cold in the riffle run to the wool damp and heavy. Hung line willow for the sun's dry gold. Afternoons call the wheel big. Great wheel walked foot to the treadle oak. Distaff held pole-like with the roving twisted loose from the bat carded. Mother spins the yarn fine. Spindle whirl clay turned weighted true. Foot pedal pushed sway to the pull even. Twist climbing the fiber soft as the breeze in the cottonwood leaf. The yarn winds bobbinwood slow. Skein looped arm elbow for the dye pot later. Indigo traded fort deep for the blue sky hold or madder. Root dug garden fallow for the red earth warm. You wind the quill if girl's hand nimble. Bobbin filled tight on the peg whittled, ready for the loom's shuttle flight. The loom sets under the eave porch for the air cross, frame of ash squared mortise tenon tight. Heddles, reed split fine for the warp beam stretched taut from the end to the cloth roll. Father dresses the warp if time spares. Threads cotton traded or wool homespun beamed even. Tensioned weight-stone hung shed deep. Mother throws the shuttle willow polished palm smooth. Weft, picking plain for the petticoat. linsey or twill herringbone for the trousers hold. The loom hums rhythmic like the bee in the bloom. Beater reed swung hand pull to pack the pick close, cloth emerging bolt by bolt. Checked flaw, pulled thread by thread. You help with the quill wind or the fulling tub foot stomp. Cloth felted lie mild for the weave shrink. Woodcraft calls father morn fresh. Adze in hand, socket-eyed for the helve hickory. Blade curved iron for the hew square. The log cottonwood felled dawn axe. Limbed sawbuck saw two-man for the trunk straight. Squared adze bite to the puncheon slab for the tabletop or the bench seat. You hold the saw pit if deep enough dug. Underman pulling low for the kerf even. Teeth filed crosscut keen to the chew fine. The churn dasher turned lathe foot. Wood apple for the turn smooth. Auger bit spiraled for the whole staff long. Tools hang wall peg. Plain, jack sawed sole for the edge straight. Chisel, cold chiseled bevel for the mortise fit. In the trail's noon halt, crafts squeeze wagon side. Mending needle bone for the harness tier. Thread, sinew twisted deer gut for the stitch, sure. Basket weave willow supple from the slough switch. Bottom flat coil pine needle tight. Sides flared spoke radial for the berry hold. You plait the rush chair seat if camp lingers. Reeds stripped green for the weave over under even. Pattern herringbone for the sit firm. Leather work bends the hide tan soft. Brain smeared from the deer quarter. Staked frame peg for the stretch sun pull. Smoked cone tip to the fix color amber. Father cuts the moccasin sole all punch for the lace thong. Uppers sewn sinew waxed for the foot wrap. You bead the pouch maybe. Quills porcupine dyed berry juice. Sewn hide loop for the pattern star or the trail map faint. Inkwell crafts the letter home. Quill goose plucked nipped knife fine for the nib split. Ink oak gall, brewed black with the iron rust dissolved. Father pens the fold foolscap, words deliberate. The claim holds green, the team strong, sand shaken dry for the blot even. Sealed wax drop candle drip. Stamp ring signet for the post-rider's pouch. But let's weave these makes a touch longer. For their rhythms cradle the hand deep. The cards tease. Wire tooth gentle on the lock curl. Bat rolled loose for the distaff drape. Wheels treadle. Oak foot pushed sway even. Spindle hook whirl spun for the draw twist. Looms heddle. Reed slot thread laid careful. Beater swung forearm pull for the pack close. Adzes bite. Helve gripped fist over. Chip fly curl to the square face. Saws pit. Under pull low for the cut plum. Kerf dust gold in the sun shaft. Churns dasher. Apple turned lathe slow. Staff augured tight for the plunge even. Baskets coil. Pine needle twisted thumb press. Spoke willow flared for the rim bind. Leather's stake. Hide flesh scraped bone dull. Brain slurry palm smeared for the supple tan. Quill's nib, knife bevel nipped cross for the split fine. Ink gall nut brewed kettle black. So crafts turn the yield to the hold sure. Hands shaping the wild's gift. We've shaped these makes now, felt the reed's soft song. One dream lingers. Holidays warm, winter's white. For this weave, let the shuttle's flight lull you under. Visions of yarns spun and benches hewn. Rest warm in our meadow's craft as our moonlit meadow dreams reach their quiet crest. We gather the year's soft threads into the warm spark of holidays. Those gentle pauses when the frontier's hush bloomed brighter. Families weaving close under. The same vast sky with songs and shares that lingered like embers in the ash. In this final whisper from Mind Lepic, we kindle the celebrations of 1852 frontier America, from harvest circles on the Platte to the Yule logs in Oregon cabins, where traditions held steady as the rivers bend. warming the heart through winter's white or summer's gold. Picture the flicker of a tallow candle on a pine bough, the crackle of a cornhusk doll by the fire, and the hum of voices around a Thanksgiving board punchin' long, all simple joys that marked the season's turn without clamor or cost. These sparks were the dream's own light, reminders that even in the wild's weave, life carried sweetness deep as a root in the loam. Let these final holiday murmurs settle over you like snow hush on the meadow, carrying all our wonder into a peaceful close. We've shaped the crafts. Now, spark the joys with me. One last tender flame. Thanksgiving dawns crisp in November's fold, the prairie air sharp with frost that rims the cabin pane like lace fine. But inside, the hearth stirs warm and slow with the log cottonwood fed fresh. Mother rises pre-light full. Coals banked from the eave raked to the bloom even. Kettle copper swung low for the water seep haul. Simmer starting the mashed potato dug cellar deep. The bird waits the shed lean-to. Turkey wild snared dawn quiet from the meadow edge. Feathers plucked scald tub hot over the riffle steam, down drifting soft as the thistle seed. Father aids the axe helve long, neck low stretched for the stroke clean. Then the dressing stuffed bread crumby from the pone yesterday, sage wild from the hill foraged, onions bulb, dug for the weep sharp, sewn needle coarse through the skin flap. The bake kettle Dutch iron yawns wide. Bird trust leg cross twine hemp, basted ladle slow with the broth fat till the skin crisps gold and the pin runs clear pink. The board stretches punchin' long under the eave porch if fair, cloth huckaback checked red ironed stone hot, napkins folded square rag ringed, plates pewter dented trail past, edges chased faint for the hold sure. Sides simmer gentle. Yams dug, hill wild candied sorghum. Pour dark from the mill mule walked. Cranberry, bogberry ground meat. Sweet for the jelly red. Corn pudding scraped ear fresh with the egg beat light and milk daisy warm. Pumpkin pie sets last. Gourd, vine deep mashed spice cinnamon from the trader's stick grated. Crust flaky lard cut pin rolled, cream skimmed pan shallow whipped gourd spoon. Kin gathers noon high from the claim near. Wagons creak, trace in with the children, scrubbed face water and hair slicked. Creek comb, dresses Osnaburg, starched lie stiff collar high. Grace deepens. For this yield's gift and the land's keep, we thank. Hands linked circle soft as the vine tendril. In the trail's circle, if westbound still, Thanksgiving wheels the train loose for the halt long. Fires ringed Stone River with the turkey shared snare. Lucky, pone passed hand to hand tin plate. Talk low of the harvest dreamed Oregon green. Or in the Oregon Valley wet, the board fur-planked with the salmon smoked rack high, berries salal wild for the sauce tart. Kin from the mission post by muleback. Christmas builds Advent slow from the first frost hush. Wreath's door flap hung of pine bough clipped wood's hand. Berries, juniper blue poked holly. None but the thorn hedge red. The log Yule fetched Christmas Eve. Axe ring trunk, small felled dawn quiet. Dragged sled runner over the crust snow if white lays, or mud thaw if rain calls early. Set corner bucket sand fast for the stand cross. Strung lights, tallow dipped, stubbed branch clip safe. Snuffed wick by wick post glow toward the spark stray. Ornaments none glass blown far, but corn husk dolls twisted silk soft for the hang, or walnut shell carved ship sail for the child eye. Tinsel drag the box attic. None but the yarn wool spun silver dyed for the drape. Branch lazy. gifts rag-wrapped, twine-tied, simple. Reader, primer, blue-backed for the school morn, or cap wool-knit ear-flap for the winter bite. Carols hummed trail circle low. Oh, come all ye faithful, voices blend hymn true. No melodeon, but the mouth harp wheezed breath deep. Church stump meet if claim gathered, cross-whittled pine crude, hymns away in a manger, soft under the tree oak. Stockings hung mantle hook deerskin, filled morn with the apple crab tart traded, or nut hickory cracked shell brown. Candy none, but the maple sugar pulled taffy sweet if tapped spring. New Year's Eve quiets the claim deep. Punch cider warmed clove stud from the barrel bung. Bowl gourd ladled slow with the lemon traded gold. Clock none, but the moon tallied for the chime midnight. Bells rung, pot tin, spoon clanged, kitchen faint. Resolutions murmured. Sow the corn hill deep, or mend the trace fence. Wireless, fire banked backlog. For the watch frostward, embers guarded poker willow. 4th of July kindles summer spark. Meadow knee green with the grass cure. Picnic under the cottonwood spread cloth willow woven check. Pit dug shallow for the roast rabbit skewer. Turned over mesquite smoke curl blue. Sides beans wild locust pod ground for the mash sweet. Slaw cabbage foraged shredded fine with the mayo egg thick. Town post if near, square, dust packed with the bandstand. Fiddle scraped Yankee Doodle lively bow hair. Flags bunting stitched star hand for the pole high. Fireworks none powder far, but sky-lit pine knot torch flared. Sparks shower gold like the starfall. Halloween whispers fall's edge faint. Pumpkins, vine gourd, carved knife careful to lantern grin jack. Candle tallow stub inside flicker tooth. Costumes sheet calico ghost simple, or husk corn dress tied sheaf loose. Tricks mild, gate unhinge porch lean. Treat apple caramel none but the haw sticky. Bonfires hilltop crackled. Corn popped foil tin. Stories ghost soft. The will-o-wisp light meadow dance. Easter softens spring's stir. Eggs dyed onion skin gold. Pot boiled, or beet red for the hunt yard-wide basket. Willow overflow. Church mission lilies, fern wild, altar piled. Scent heavy, sweet. Hymns, Christ arose voices swell, pipe, none but the voice clear. Supper, ham wild, snared glazed, honey traded. Rolls yeast risen light from the pan clay. Pie rhubarb tart patch first. Weddings tie summer often. Stump vowed if preacher passes. Bride gown calico borrowed soft. Veil mosquito net tulle fine. Reception circle grass danced fiddle. Arkansas traveler. Cake pone layered berry wild. Rice tossed arc gentle rice, none but the corn pop. Funerals hush gravest. Black armband wool tied. Hearse mule plumed rough. Grave spade dug hill under even. Hymns low. Rock of ages. Dirt shoveled slow on the box pine plain. Birthdays circle year-round soft. Cake, Johnny cake layer with the berry wild crushed. Candles pine splint stuck wax melt. Blown puff one for the wish keep. Songs hummed circle tight. Happy birthday. None yet but the long may you live off-key warm. Through it all, holidays mend the wild days. Kin called trace close by the horn conch or the smoke signal curl. No radios croon carols. Voices make the melody true. Lights tallow or pine knot. Glow near and real. But let's kindle these sparks a whisper longer, for their warmth holds the year's fold. The turkeys truss again. Leg, twine hemp crossed tight. Dressing sage wild chopped fine for the stuff even. Yams is sorghum. Cane, mill mule, circled for the boil, thick. Pour ladle gold over the mash fork soft. Cranberry ground. Bogberry meat mashed for the jelly set. Tin mold chilled spring house cool. Pie crust, pin rolled thin. Filling, gourd mashed, spice grated. Lattice vent, steam faint. Wreath bough, pine twined door flap. Juniper blue for the berry poke. Scent, forever green. Log Yule bucket sand fast. Husk doll, corn silk hair twisted for the hang child eye. Stocking toe, nut hickory rattle. Heel, apple crab bump round. Punch, clove stud, chewed linger. Lemon twist oil spray bright on the gourd ladle. Firework, pine knot flare. Shower, spark gold to the meadow dark. Pumpkin innards scraped stringy to the pie fill mush. Seeds roasted salt sprinkle crunch faint. Egg hunt, bush hidden, dye gold. Basket willow brim spill with the fine squeal. Ham, glaze, honey traded, brushed, bristle soft. Rolls risen warm for the break light. Cake berry juice stain, finger purple. Frosting, none but the cream whip peak. So traditions spark the wheel gentle, joys. Breath shared as the fires draw. As our moonlit meadow dreams settle into the season's deeper hush, we drift from the craft's steady weave into the serene blanket of winter. Those long, white-veiled months when the prairie slept under snow's soft hold, and the cabin became a world entire, warmed by stories and the hearth's patient glow. In this 11th gentle chapter from Mind Leapic, we linger in the snowbound claims of 1853 frontier America, from the Platte's frozen braids to the Oregon's fur-draped ridges, where days shortened to the fire's radius and nights stretched star-stitched, full of quiet mends and memories spun like yarn in the dim. Picture the sizzle of fat wood on the coals, the crunch of boots on crusty drifts, and the faint chime of icicles from the eave, all wrapping the wild in a hush as pure as new-fallen powder. These winters were the frontier's breath held long, times to gather inward and dream outward, turning cold's bite to the warmth of shared wool and whispered plans. Let these snowy sighs enfold you like a buffalo robe heavy, easing toward the dream's winter nest. We've sparked the holidays. Now, blanket the white with me. Flake by silent flake. Winter creeps in with November's first skim ice on the creek puddle, the wind sighing low from the north like a ghost from the plains far, frosting the cabin chinks with rime white as the salt mine lick. The claim hunkers down slow, stores checked larder deep. Corn shelled bright in the bin, willow-lined. Dried beans, pintos, sack, gunny for the soak long. Squash pieced green-ringed in the pit bank-dug earth cellar. Covered thatch grass for the frost ward. Father fells the backlog maple sweet scent before the deep freeze. Axe thunk crisp on the trunk chilled. Limbed bucksaw pull for the cord stack against the lean-to wall. Covered tarp oiled for the melt run. You help with the haul if strong-armed. Sled willow runner dragged over the stubble frozen. Logs piled cross for the air draw. No waste on the winter's lean. Mornings awaken to the world's muffle. Light seeping gray through the oiled pane like milk thinned. Breath clouding the air inside as the stove sheet iron gulps the kindling dry. No rooster crows muffled snow deep. It's the cow Daisy's low faint from the barn dugout. Breath steaming white in the stall straw bedded. You rise rope bed sagged from the night's turn. Quilts wool patched heavy with the eider-down plucked goose. Feet touching the puncheon floor chilled but warmed hearth rug of braided rag circle. Mother banks the stove from the eave's embers. Damper turn to draw the draft even. Log added hickory heavy for the hold long. Smoke curling chimney mud daubed tight against the wind's pry. Breakfast simmers pot hung low. Mush, cornmeal, stirred wooden spoon, thick in the milk-skimmed pan fresh. Sweetened maple sap, tapped bucket gourd from the sugar bush stand. Or hasty pudding boiled water seep if cows yield thins. Topped molasses, sorghum from the jar clay sealed. The family gathers table puncheon, stools three-legged, milked low, spoons pewter clink faint against the bowl tin. Talk murmured of the fence snow-buried, or the trap-line checked eve for the mink pelt. Dishes rinse basin warm from the stove reservoir. Dried cloth huckaback hung line wall for the flap gentle. Chores circle short but sure in the white hold. The well bucket lowered rope hemp to the freeze line. Hauled slosh faint to break the skim ice axe pick. You tend the stock barn bound. Path shoveled spade iron to the door, hide flapped. A forked mowloft ladder pegged. Oats scattered bin deep for the nibble content. The cow milked stool knee to flank warm. Pale foam rising rhythmic squeeze. Breath shared steam white in the stall dim. Chickens cluck coop woven willow. Nests checked egg speckled brown. Basket filling scant with the lay winter thin. Afternoons weave the mend inward. Mother carding the wool saved fall clip. Cards, leather wire teasing locks to the bat fluffy. No rush in the light short. You spin the wheel small if girls turn. Treadle foot-pushed sway for the yarn fine. Whirl clay turned weighted true for the draw even. Father mends the harness leather scraped. All punch for the stitch sinew waxed. Or whittles the trap jaw spring-tempered file for the beaver hold. Stories murmur low by the stove's glow. The blizzard of 47 blanked the train 3 days. Voice gravel soft from the pipe tobacco twisted plug. In the Oregon rains winter wet. Chores shift mud suck. Roof shake mossed leaking pot catch. But the hearth fur heavy burns long. Scent resin thick for the air warm. Trail-bound trains halt snow pass. Circles deepened for the windward. Fires doubled cordwood for the watch turn. South Texas claims winter mild but thorn sharp. Chores heard the longhorn loose in the chaparral freeze faint. Brands checked iron cold for the stray call. Evenings deepen the blanket. Supper stewed rabbit snared pre-snow. Pot simmered carrot wild for the thick hold. Dumplings dropped spoon hollow for the float light. Table grace again, for this white's gift and the hearth's keep. Yarns spin long. The elk's track. Antler shed found drift deep. Or the trader's sleigh bell tink from the fort far. Bed draws early star prick. Ladder climbed slipper moccasin. Trundle pulled sibling close. Quilts layered chin high with the robe. Buffalo tanned smoke amber for the chill bite. But let's blanket this white a breath more, for its hush cradles deep. The stove's bank, damper iron turned for the draft night long. Log hickory placed backlog steady. Wells Hall, rope hemp knotted even. Bucket willow staved slosh. Faint to the ice break pick thin. Stocks hay, mow fork tine pitchfork willow handled. Scattered even for the muzzle deep. Cards tease. Lock wool curled gentle wire tooth. Bat rolled arm loose for the spin morn. Wheels yarn. Treadle oak sway footlight. Whirl pull twist climbing fiber soft. Harness mend. All bone-eyed punch hide clean. Stitch sinew pull for the hold sure. So winter folds the claim gentle. White's hush turning to the spring's stir dreamed. We've blanketed these drifts now. Felt the snow's calm hold. One dream lingers, spring's thaw, summer's green. For this white, let the wind's sigh lull you under. Visions of hearths warm and paths shoveled. Rest blanketed. In our meadow's snow, as our moonlit meadow dreams thaw toward their close. We rise from winter's quiet blanket into the soft awakening of spring. Those tender months when the prairie stirred like a sleeper slow. green shoots piercing the melt and the air humming with the first bee's wing. In this 12th and final gentle chapter from Mind Lepic, we bloom in the claims of 1854 frontier America, from the Platte's ice break to the Oregon's fern unfurl, where days lengthened to the plows, song and nights whispered, promises of the garden's yield. Picture the drip of icicles from the eave like chimes faint, the furrows curl black under the sun's climb, and the family circle widening with the circle's grass, all simple rebirths that marked the season's turn with unhurried hope. These springs were the frontier's first breath deep, times to sow the seed and mend the fence, turning melt's mud to the meadow's gold. Let these thawing murmurs lift you like a shoot in the loam, carrying our wander to a peaceful end. We've wintered the white. Now, awaken the green with me, drop by melting drop. Spring sighs in with March's first thaw, the creek riffle swelling mud brown from the snow-crown melt. Wind south soft, carrying the scent of earth woke and willow catkin gold. The claim quickens gradual, stores tallied larder last from the winter's draw. Corn seed shelled bright for the hill plant, beans, dried pintos, sack kept for the soak sprout. Father checks the plow walker sulky, share whetstone slicked for the bite keen. Oxen yoked bow curved fresh from the stall straw deep, hides brushed curry twig for the shine even. You help with the fence mend if Armstrong. Rails hickory split, axe crisp stacked zigzag snake for the herd ward. Wire none but the with willow woven tight against the fawn's nose. Mornings stir to the world's uncrust. Light spilling peach through the pane oiled. Breath fog faint as the frost yields slow. The rooster crows clear snow melt. From the coop willow woven aired sun warm. You rise bed rope eased from the night's sag. Quilts folded chest trunk for the air draw. Feet puncheon chilled, but quick to the hearth ember raked. Mother kindles the stove sheet iron with the kindling twig dry. Log added maple for the simmer start. Smoke chimney mud curling faint against the breeze thaw. Breakfast bubbles pot low. Flapjacks griddle hot lard greased. Syrup maple tapped bucket gourd from the bush stand. Or mush corn quick stirred milk. Daisy fresh from the morn milk. Family tables puncheon, stools milked low, spoons clink bowl tin. Talk of the seed moon's phase for the almanac say. Dishes basin rinse water well hauled even. Dried line flap for the wind south dry. Chores circle thaw wide. The well gush full from the rise seep. Bucket slosh free to the trough stock fill. You tend the garden plot staked square. Spade turn the loam black frost loosed. Rose hoed blade flash for the corn drop fist deep. Beans hill climbed pole teepeed high. Squash slips set vine trail. Pumpkin seed saved hull cracked for the mound hill. Mother plants the herb bed slip rooted. Mint wild from the slough for the tea calm. Sage gray leaf for the dressing stuff. Afternoons sway the brake plow field. Oxen lean trace hemp for the furrow curl. Clods crumble harrowthorn drag. You drop the wheat broadcast hand arc even. Wind lift the grain gold to the cover light. The meadow greens knee shoot. Grass cure for the graze loose. Antelope rim the butte tail flick. In the Oregon mist spring. Chores wet fur. Roof shake moss cleared drip pot. Garden bottomland, rich with the fern fiddle unroll. Seed fern spore dusted for the green hold. Trail trains roll mud rut. Wagons lightened ford swollen. Circles eve for the watch melt flood. Texas springs thorn bloom. Chores herd longhorn chaparral green. Brands checked for the calf drop. Evenings thaw the circle wide. Supper stew carrot wild simmered rabbit spring. Dumplings float light spoondrop, grace. For this green's gift and the thaws. Keep. Yarns. The fawns. Spot faint found meadow deep, or the trader's mule bell from the post far. Bed draws dusk soft star rise. Ladder slip moccasin. Trundle sibling close. Quilts light for the air warm. But let's thaw this green a breath more, for its stir cradles deep. The plough's share, whetstone, spit slick edge keen. Oxen breath steam faint at the lean trace. Gardens row. Hoe hickory grooved thumb hold. Seed corn fist drop hill spaced even. Wells gush. Rope hemp haul bucket willow slosh free for the trough fill morn. So spring awakens the claim gentle. Thaws stir to the summer dream green. We've thawn these melts now, felt the shoots calm rise. Our dreams circle full, from winter white to spring green. Thank you for wandering Mind Lepic's meadows through these pioneer whispers. May the 1840s soft thaws warm your rest deep and kind, where seasons turn slow and hearts stay rooted true. Good night or good dream till our next bloom. Close your eyes now and let the green unfold. As the moonlit meadow dreams fade into the quiet night, we leave the pioneer trails behind, carrying their whispers like a soft wind across the prairie. Those gentle rhythms of log cabins, wagon sways, and hearthside yarns that remind us how the past can lull the soul to rest. Thank you for wandering these frontier folds with Mind Lepic, where history sleeps easy and boring tales bloom into peaceful dreams. If this journey eased you toward slumber, give it a gentle like to share the hush. Subscribe for more sleepy sojourns into the wild's whisper, and in the comments below, share one pioneer moment that stirred your own meadow memory, maybe a winter fire or a spring thaw. Until our next dream unfolds, close your eyes, breathe the grass scent deep, and let the stars guide you home. Good night, sweet wanderer. Rest well.